Good morning, everybody. You Change the World is what is starting again in 2026. The channel of coaching, mediation, the channel where we are sharing experiences that we are seeing through the lens of coaching sessions and the lens of our leaders, the leaders that are trusting that we are supporting them and that have been sometimes with for a long time our clients, such as 7 to 8 years in a row with some corporate clients and some 2 or 3 years. Even if the average is 6 months, it can take sometimes a little bit more because they enjoy it or because situations makes it that they need the partnership indeed. And this is what it is. It's a partnership. So I just want to today talk about visualization because visualization is an exercise of the imagination, and it's not a positive thinking. It's not a motivation, but it's a serious leadership discipline. And this is because of that. I think that you might want to take away some tips, some examples that I would like to share today. This is how I want to start the year, because visualization is a magic formula. It definitely gives you an awareness and a mastery, a control of almost every situations, but especially the perception that you're creating around you. Because you're seen, because leadership means you're interacting, you're communicating, you are in front of an audience. You are like an actor taking the responsibility of your presence. It's unbelievably powerful to visualize this and to really start to build the agility and almost like fluency, be able to have the reaction, the reflex, like driving, of having this visualization before you do anything, before you make any decision, before you move your body, your glance, anything that comes from you, that you emulates from you, that energy, that personality that you have, your persona, right? All of those aspects that radiate really have an impact in any kind of situations, even in the moment, something powerful about you that you thought before this was happening. And that's the visualization. It's something that will make you see ahead of time that upcoming situation. And in that case, start to adapt yourself and be ready because you saw yourself already there, right? Do you remember that? That the memory of having been in a place or in a situation makes you feel better when it comes back. And that's one way also of, you know, diminishing the discomfort level of things that you don't want to handle, that you do not want really to see, that you would rather delegate to someone else or to be present in a difficult or a challenging meeting or conversation. That's what I mean by visualization. Now, we are going to get a little bit more practical, but imagine this that, many leaders resist it. It's because there is a fear of self deception. They don't want to invent stories that make them feel better than reality. And although associated visualizations can also be as fantasy, can be seen as fantasy, uh, but the motivational practice of it is what really makes it happen. And as you are practicing, you gain again the confidence that it is a good tool. And then when you experience the feedback, it's even better. So it's going to really come back to you all the time and validate and more than that. It's going to be in fact a part of you. When you do this, that discipline becomes something that really becomes a standard for you. You would not do and engage in any kind of leadership responsibility before using some kind of visualizations because this is visualizing reality and not fiction. So when responsibility is high, when the stake is high, action without preparation is not decisiveness. It's a big risk. So, what is visualization really? Well, it's a mental rehearsal grounded in reality. It's projecting yourself into a future situation and preparing how you will show up in it. Not just what you will say, but how you will stand, how you will listen, how you will regulate yourself under pressure. Visualization is not imagination escaping reality, it's imagination disciplined by reality. And there are three elements leaders must visualize. First, the context. Who is in the room? What is at stake? Where power sits, really? And what constraints exist? And then what cannot be changed? Then, ignoring context, we turn visualizations into a wishful thinking. I repeat, ignoring context would turn visualization into a wishful thinking. That's what it would do. Second, it's about yourself, your posture, your tone, your pace, your emotional state. All of that can be sensed by everybody in the room in the moment. So that's the second one. After the context comes yourself, is leaders who often visualize the meeting, but not themselves inside the meeting, and that would be a mistake not to do that when you prepare yourself, when you rehearse. Third is the consequences. What happens if you speak? What happens if you pause? And what happens if you avoid the issue? I repeat, the consequences can be about what happens if you speak, what happens if you pause, and what happens if you avoid the issue. Leadership is not about saying the right thing. It's about carrying the consequences of what you choose, the impact of what you do. Visualization ahead of time must include the context, the self, and the consequences. Those are the three foundations of it. And if you take notes of it, you will see. If you start practicing this, that this framework helps a lot. So effective visualization is not comfortable. It must include resistance, disagreement, misunderstanding, emotional load. If you visualize once a smooth conversation, for example, well, you're not preparing, you're protecting yourself. And you see it, you feel it. So leadership preparation requires from you this reality and lots of honesty, because you're going to be transparent, because you're going to be totally yourself, authentically yourself, because that's how you create trust. That's how people are going to perceive you for who you are and not for someone else, because you come across as someone very sincere, very true to himself. And not only that, it repeats itself. It's consistent. When you come back and people see you again a second time, a third time, there is really signals that you are sending to them that remain of the same color, the same tone, the same music, and that people really take note of it. And then they start to see who you are. And okay, we are going to work on this intentional brand, of course. But the more we work on those aspects about you, the more you can bring yourself to the situation ahead of time and see how you position yourself in the situation, in the context. So imagine a leader, for example, preparing for a conversation with their team, okay? And the reorganization, for example, just happened, not something that is unusual these days. So the roles are shifting. Some people feel overlooked, others feel insecure. So most leaders visualize delivering a clear message. They imagine people understanding. They imagine alignment. But that's incomplete. A more responsible visualization looks different. The leader visualizes the room, who will stay silent, who will challenge, who will disengage. Very typical. And then the leader visualizes themselves, their posture when tension rises, their breathing when emotions surface, and their tone when clarity is questioned. Then they visualize consequences. What happens if they explain too much? What happens if they defend, they justify? What happens if they slow the conversation instead of pushing it? By the time the conversation happens, the leader is not discovering themselves in the moment. They went through the experience and all aspects of it almost ahead of time, like a blueprint. Like a blueprint, literally. You see it, it's clear. And you have the experience too, and the background. And if you know the people around you, even more. So they've already met the pressure internally. The outcome is not perfect conversation. The outcome is presence. And presence changes everything. So visualization does not eliminate difficulty. What it does, it reduces reactivity, increase emotional regulation, and accelerate grounded decision making. The situation may still be hard, but it no longer feels unfamiliar. That blueprint, that passage, that has your footprint in there somehow in your mind and in your subconscious if you rehearse a lot about it. So familiarity and pressure is really a strong foundation of authority. Would you agree with that? Authority does not come from certainty. It comes from coherence. People trust leaders who appear internally prepared and confident, fluent like a language, not scripted, prepared. And visualization is one of the quiet disciplines and tool of leadership maturity. Visualization is not about imagining success. It's about assuming responsibility before action happens. The leaders imagine so they can act with clarity, restraint, and presence, even if the situation resists them. This is how leadership changes the world. This is how you impact people, inspire them, and leave a very, very strong mark for whatever the people around you need from you. They're going to see it, that you care, and that builds trust. Hopefully, today, with this little insight, you will start thinking about it by closing your eyes, seeing yourself for this meeting tomorrow. Have this aspect of place, time, stakeholders, and has this aspect of the resistance, of the difficulty, of the obstacles, and how you're going to show up, how you are going to bring yourself in there, and what is needed of you the most to bring the balance and the alignment that will make your leadership clear, crystal clear, and give your team and people who work with you a sense of trust, of psychological safety. This is, I think, really for 2026, how I wanted to start talking about visualization as a tool, as a discipline, and as being part of you. A tool, a discipline, an aspect of you that is capable of projecting this brand and this presence in a situation clearly in your mind so that you feel that you lived already through the challenge. So this is really what I invite you to do. Try it from this basis. And if you want, I can talk to you, I can work with you on this. It's not a bad idea to use a partner, a coach, to do this for different situations that you have coming up. It's always about the future, and the sooner, the better. Do it, try it, enjoy it. Thank you, and see you next week.